Things have not been going well for Donald Trump lately. His first lady is nowhere to be seen. His actual first lady, and Elon Musk, is stealing his spotlight. And the thing he cares about most in this world, his polls, are tanking. His approval is hitting all-time lows for this period in a presidency, and it is clearly upsetting Donald Trump. And so when he was asked about one of his most popular actions, his ridiculous trade war with our closest ally in Canada, he melted down and threw a tantrum. And we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into Donald Trump throwing a little bit of a tantrum over his tariff trade war, I want to check out what's going on with the two people he's decided to pick the biggest fights with, Vladimir Zelensky and Justin Trudeau.
Just what a real pleasure it is to be welcomed by you once again on this my fourth trip to Ukraine.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Your visit is very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. Ukrainians have been fighting and dying not just to protect their sovereignty, their territorial integrity. They're also fighting to protect the rules-based order that keeps us all safe around the world and has for close to 80 years now. This period of peace, stability, prosperity for the world happens because we had rules around borders, around not invading your neighbors, that Russia chose deliberately to violate a number of years ago. That is why Canada and our allies are unequivocal on standing up against Vladimir Putin's illegal, immoral, unjust violations of the international order, and why I'm looking forward to sitting down with my European partners in a couple of hours to talk about how we will continue to stand unequivocally in defense of Ukraine, but also in defense of the rules that keep us all safe.
So as we can see, instead of cozying up to a dictator, Justin Trudeau, like the leader of any democracy should be, is welcoming in President Zelensky, giving him his full support, showing the rest of the world what real leadership looks like. And there is a vacuum of it with the United States out of play, because Donald Trump, as we know, has been cozying up to Putin these last couple of days and really just humiliating us on the world stage. And it is that mixed in with, of course, a lot of other reasons why Donald Trump is so upset with Justin Trudeau that led him to throw a bit of a tantrum when he was asked about his impending tariff deadline, which is only going to make things so much worse for his MAGA Republicans and everyone who voted for him. And I want to take a look at that right here.
Next week, there's a key deadline for your Canada and Mexico tariffs. Do you expect those will go back on, or do you believe those countries have done enough on the border to stop those from taking effect? And for President Macron, I'm wondering if you believe that this critical minerals deal with Ukraine represents a de facto security guarantee by the United States, since the U.S. would have an interest in protecting those reserves in Ukraine. Thank you.
We're on time with the tariffs, and it seems like that's moving along very rapidly. We've been mistreated very badly by many countries, not just Canada and Mexico. We've been taken advantage of. We were led by, in some cases, fools, because anybody that would sign documents like they signed, where they were able to take advantage of the American people, like has happened over the last long period of time, except for a little 4-year period that took place 4 years ago. But anybody that would agree to allow this to happen to our country should be ashamed of themselves. No, the tariffs are going forward on time, on schedule. This is an abuse that took place for many, many years. And I'm not even blaming the other countries that did this. I blame our leadership for allowing it to happen. I mean, you know, who can blame them if they made these great deals with the United States, took advantage of the United States on manufacturing, on just about everything, every aspect that you could imagine they took advantage of. I look at some of these agreements, I'd read them at night, and I'd say, who would ever sign a thing like this? So the tariffs will go forward, yes. And We're going to make up a lot of territory. All we want is reciprocal. We want reciprocity. We want to have the same. So if somebody charges us, we charge them. It's very simple, but it'll be very good for our country. Our country will be extremely liquid and rich again. Plus, we're doing other things, as you know. We're finding tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse at levels that nobody thought possible. You're seeing what's...
I would not be surprised to see Donald Trump pull back a little bit on the tariffs at this point, as egg prices are, what, $12? Groceries continue to go up. Gas is getting more expensive. I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump decided, all right, I'm in too deep on this thing. But with Justin Trudeau and President Zelensky spending a little bit of time together, maybe rubbing it in Donald Trump's face a bit, their friendship, I wouldn't be surprised if he doubled those tariffs in spite of Trudeau supporting another democracy, Trudeau supporting our ally, Canada's ally. And do you know what, Donald? Go ahead. Because who's feeling those effects the most? MAGA is. Republican voters. And it's the reason why Donald Trump's approval rating has tanked so quickly, especially on that topic of tariffs, which shockingly people were in support of until they figured out what they were. Someone who did a great job covering that and really upset Donald Trump in covering that was Rachel Maddow.
In that first Gallup poll of this presidential term, sort of shockingly, Trump was already underwater. In his first week in office, more Americans disapproved of him than approved of him. I mean, only by 1 point, but still, that's unheard of. That's a more than unusual thing in presidential polling. Gallup, in fact, said at the time that in the 70-plus years they have been doing presidential polling, Donald Trump is the only president for whom his approval ratings were underwater right at the start of his term in office, meaning more people disliked him than liked him. So in that first week Gallup poll, Trump was underwater, 47 approving, 48% disapproving. So that means he was coming in at -1. And like I said, that was something we haven't seen with any other president. And to me, actually, it was shocking enough that I didn't think it would stand. I thought that would be sort of an outlier. But now look at this. Gallup just did its follow-up poll, now 1 month into Trump being back in office, and his numbers have gotten worse. He's not -1 anymore. Now he's -6. Which makes him, at this point in his term, not only the most disliked and unpopular president in 70-plus years of Gallup polling, Gallup says it actually puts him 15 points below the average polling for presidents, again, over the last 72 years in which they have been doing this polling. At this point in a presidential term, 1 month in, the average is 15 points higher than where Trump is right now. Nobody has ever started off a presidential term this poorly in the eyes of the American people. I mean, all presidents are above water at this point in their presidencies, right out of the gate. Trump's the only one. Trump was underwater with the American public from day one, and since then, he's been sinking like a cinder block in an ocean trench. I did not know to expect that. To be fair, part of the reason I'd expected that Gallup number might go up and not down is because Gallup's not the only game in town. There were other national, well-regarded quality polls that came out right at the start of Trump's term that did show him in positive territory. Not big positive territory, but still positive. Like, for example, the Quinnipiac poll, which came out in late January, right after Trump was sworn in, it showed Trump doing okay. I mean, not great. But in that poll, he was above water. He was +3. But now, though, again, 1 month in, that same poll, Quinnipiac, it's flipped. He has gone from +3 in his first week in office to -4 now. That is a quick turnaround for a poll that initially looked okay for him less than a month ago. It looked okay for him. Now it looks terrible for him. Why is that? Well, it's because Trump's been doing stuff. And What the data shows is that almost every single thing he has done is soundly and clearly, and in some cases, wildly unpopular with the American people. Again, just look at that Quinnipiac poll that shows Trump underwater right now. More Americans disapproving of him than approving of him, right? He was +3 right after he got sworn in. Now he's -4. You can see in the internals of that poll a little bit about what's driving that. Do you approve of Trump's handling of foreign policy? No. Do you approve of Trump's handling of trade? No. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the federal workforce? No. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the Russia-Ukraine conflict? No. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the Israel-Hamas conflict? No, 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 no. Do you approve of Trump's handling of the economy? No. No, the American public does not approve of his handling of the economy. And stick a pin in that one, because that one's interesting for a number of reasons, and we will come back to that. But you take a look at the broad areas of responsibility a U.S. president has. And on all these broad points, the American public just says, no, Donald Trump, we do not like the way you are handling any of these issues. And then when you drill down, not just to, you drill down from the broad categories of things to instead the stuff he wants you to focus on, the very specific things he's done, his signature specific issues and his signature gambits thus far since he's been in office, the stuff that he thinks makes him look great. Well, those things are even worse than the broad categories. On those things, the stuff he's doing is catastrophically unpopular. I mean, look at this. This is from the same poll. Do you like Donald Trump's genius idea for Gaza? By a 40-point margin, the American people are against Trump on that. How about DEI, which they've tried to turn into a slur? Do you think policies focused on increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace are a good thing? The American people say, yes, actually. Yes, actually, we do think that's a good thing. By a 15-point margin, Americans are for that. How about tariffs? Donald Trump's favorite thing, right? Do you think Donald Trump's tariffs will help the U.S. economy or hurt it? By an 11-point margin, the American people say his tariffs will hurt the American economy, not help.
When we have seen these town halls with Republicans so deliciously being booed over the past couple of days, so much energy against them, it has not been in deep blue districts. It's been in deep red districts. Because the people most affected by giant cuts to government programs and rising costs are Donald Trump's voters, and they are unhappy. And we have to capitalize on this moment. I feel like Donald Trump feels the pressure. Sure, he's spouting off and lying about the 72% approval rating he claims to have. And might be a 72% disapproval rating pretty soon. But we have to seize on this moment. And we're going to keep talking about that on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.